Hello, and welcome back to another video. So today is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart because it is something that I have struggled with personally for maybe my whole life, definitely the past 10 years, and that is what I like to call toxic perfectionism. So it's something that I think especially my generation is getting really hit with and is really struggling with, because I think, if you look at millennials, we're trying to do everything our parents did and achieve what they could, but maybe it's coming a little bit harder to us because certain industries are oversaturated, right? Changing markets. And then you also have, like, we're the guinea pig generation of social media. So we have that. I don't know. We just have all of these things coming together, and you can see it. You can see anxiety and depression are on the rise. People are unsatisfied with their typical jobs. Like, you see it. And I really think that one of the main causes of this is perfectionism to a toxic degree. And I think that the symptoms of this can look very different in different people, but that the root cause is all the same. So yeah, this is definitely what I was dealing with. So if anyone out there is feeling blocked, perhaps, like maybe you're in a creative industry or you're an entrepreneur or something and you're feeling blocked, then definitely listen to this because I think this could help you, because I had no idea what I was struggling with for probably 10 years. And I really wish, I'm making this video for me 10 years ago because I really wish this is information that could have helped me. I wish I would have known this. So, what is toxic perfectionism? Because perfectionism, is that a negative thing? I don't think so. I wore my perfectionism like a badge of honor because to me it represented excellence and a strive for excellence. I actually got, like, in high school, I was in this medical community, and I really loved my teacher who was the leader of it. But she gave each and every student a unique award at the end of the year, personal to them. And for mine, it was the award of excellence because I guess, I don't know, I just had the highest test average or something. And so I really identified with that. And I remember going through pre-med and going through college and just having this strive for excellence. But I will say that it, in one way, pushed me forward, but then very quickly it pulled me back. And especially I noticed this when I tried to pivot from something more like linear to something more creative. Because I quickly learned that creativity comes from a different place. Like, it does not come from the mind, it comes from the heart, and it just can't be forced. So when I wanted to pivot into natural medicine and start my own like practice and help people in a different way and kind of be an educator on these topics, I quickly felt what's called imposter syndrome, and it's when you just don't feel good enough to help people. And so yeah, you feel like a fraud, right? And that's really what I think toxic perfectionism is. If we unmask it, it's not feeling good enough. And it took me basically until this year to even figure that out. Because I was getting confused. I thought the voice in my head, that inner critic saying, no, you can't help other people until you've got the perfect website and the perfect this and, a podcast and a YouTube channel and an Instagram. Like, I thought I had to have all of these things covered and expertly covered for people to want to, take my help or listen to me as an authority on anything. And because of that pressure, I was so overwhelmed and afraid of failing myself and others that I didn't even do anything. And that's called perfection paralysis. So basically, I think that, when we don't feel good enough deep down, we externalize our worth. So what this means is we put our worth into anything that can be seen on the outside, right? So maybe it's your marriage, maybe it's your relationship, maybe it's your job, your projects, your achievements, career, your kids. It could be anything. But really, at the end of the day, nothing on the external can make you feel better about yourself on the internal, right? Like it comes from the inside out. It'll never come from the outside in. It's that classic example of like a model who's told she's beautiful her whole entire life, but she doesn't feel it, right? Because she's constantly competing and trying to be perfect in that arena of life. So that's something that I think I struggled with is I was trying to put my worth into external factors, and I thought I was confused because I thought it was pushing me to be a better service provider. I thought it was like just a strive for excellence in quality and in service, and I didn't realize that the base of it was actually just fear, right? So yeah, this really blocked me for a long time. And the big question is, how do you know if that inner critic, how do you know if that strive for excellence, that perfectionism, how do you know if it's just positive ambition that's making you a better person every day? Or how do you know that it's toxic and it's just holding you back or blocking you? So what helped me was my mother-in-law taught me something. She always says this, and she says that you know the truth by how it feels. And it sounds maybe silly at first because you're like, truth, you don't feel truth, truth has to be quantified. I don't know. But when you really think about it and feel it, she's right, right? Like, how do you know if you love your partner and you want to marry them? Well, you know the truth by how it feels. How do you know this is the right career path for you? How do you know, this is your favorite color? By how it feels. So for me, I think the answer to this is, if you're feeling like a perfectionist, it can manifest in a lot of different ways. But if you unpeel the layers and ask yourself, how do I feel? You'll either say, I'm afraid and I don't feel good enough, or you'll say, no, I'm just excited and I want to be better, right? So in starting my YouTube channel, it's a little frightening, but I'm mostly excited. Every time I do have a perfectionism, you might not be able to tell because like it's not perfect, right? But it's because I've worked on that. But every video I want to be better. So there's a strive for excellence there, but it's tied to excitement and just a want to do better and put myself out there in a really nice way. But 10 years ago, that perfectionism was holding me back, because if I really looked at it, it's just I wasn't feeling good enough, right? So that should be our litmus test, is how we feel deep down underneath. And so I think that if you're an entrepreneur or creative, I think that what you need to know is that this cycle of like perfection paralysis, this will either break you or you will break the cycle. For me, it was breaking me until I just decided, and for me it was becoming a mother. That was like a huge paradigm shift for me that just altered everything. And it allowed me to see past my BS, if I'll put it plainly. But I was able to just see like, oh, okay, you want to help people, you have the information and the excitement to do it and the motivations to just do it, right? Like you're just standing in your way. But before her, I couldn't really have that conversation with myself. It just, I was putting myself in a pressure cooker. So yeah, so maybe you can relate to this. If you can, comment down below, like if you've worked through this perfection paralysis, if you've worked through this toxic perfectionism, let me know what you did to help it, because I know that this is gonna constantly come back and test me. I'm feeling pretty good about it now, but who knows, it might rear its ugly head again at another stage in life. So yeah, let me know. So without further ado, here are signs that you are struggling with toxic perfectionism. So the big thing is I think that it can manifest on two extremes. Person A feels really overwhelmed by this pressure of perfectionism, and so they shut down. They feel lethargic, they feel unmotivated, they might feel lazy or depressed in regards to what they want to do, and so they're just not doing anything. They're paralyzed. And then you have person B who sees what they want, and is dealing with this perfectionism, and so they just kill themselves in the pursuit of it, and they have this like hyper workaholic mentality, and they can't shut off. So one person shuts down, one person can't shut off and relax, right? Or think about anything else, or they get anxiety. Both are dealing with anxiety, but it's just manifesting in like a totally opposite way. And you might even feel like you're fluctuating between the two. That can happen. I've seen that a lot, where people have periods of like workaholism and then they have periods of complete lack of like being able to do anything in the creative field. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest test to see, like, if you're feeling like you're dealing with toxic perfectionism, is you'll see yourself with these two extremes. But I actually wrote a blog post on this, so I'll read the signs that I put. So you get excited about new projects, but then become increasingly overwhelmed. You prefer fantasy over reality. This is a big one because in your fantasy, everything's perfect, right? But in reality, nothing is. So you might want to stay there. You obsessively work, but never feel satisfied with the results. You procrastinate. This is a huge one. I almost want to do a separate video on this. Is just procrastination, because this is really, I think, the cause of it for a lot of people. You might feel lazy, lethargic, or depressed, like I said, when it comes to the projects you want to do, which is the weird thing. It's like, I want to do this, so why do I not want to do it? You feel like an imposter. You feel the need to prove yourself. You obsess about the finer details, like the need to have the latest and best tools or technology. This is a big one for people starting out new paths. You might want to be a photographer and you feel like you need to have like the best camera on the market that's like $5,000, right? But you don't. You can start with what you have. And the last one is you hide behind your title, degree, certification, whatever it is. Because again, we can see here that you're externalizing your worth. You're saying, look at the plaque on my wall, right? Instead of look at me, or listen to what I'm saying. So tips to overcome toxic perfectionism. So basically, when you feel that your obsessive nature is becoming toxic, you have to just pause and reconnect. You have to connect to your heart space, because your head is spinning. It's doing the monkey mind thing that it does, and it's just going and going and going. So you have to connect to your center. This is where you're going to feel calm. This is where you're going to actually see how you feel and be able to address it better. So take deep breaths. I actually like to consciously try to bring my consciousness down into my heart, and that really helps for me. It's almost like you're looking at the world through your heart, and I don't know, it's a weird feeling, but it can definitely help connect you. That can be a little trick. But yeah, so just see, like, am I, how am I feeling? And is it, do I just feel unworthy? Am I seeking validation, or am I just excited and I want to do really well? So another thing that you can do is affirmations. I always think of Stuart Smalley, like, I feel good enough. Oh my God. People younger than myself will probably not understand what this reference is, but it was an SNL skit, and he used to do affirmations, and he clearly was like not all there, because he would have a freak out later. But yeah, one is, I am good enough just as I am. That's very important. Like, hard stop, just as I am. You don't need anything else. Number 2, I have no need to prove myself. The third one is, I am free to be creative and have fun. This is a great one. Even if you're not in the creative field, creativity opposes perfectionism, because creativity is like, even the Greeks thought it was kind of chaotic. It was free flowing. It didn't have such a structure to it. So creativity can really break you out of feeling blocked, right? Like, if you're feeling blocked, maybe you're not a painter, but maybe painting, will get some feelings out or get the juices flowing. So be creative, have fun. That'll definitely help, no matter what you do or what you're dealing with. And my favorite is, imperfectly finished is better than perfectly unfinished. And it's just true, right? Like, I could do one video and make it a masterpiece, or I could do 100 that are subpar in my honest opinion, but they're getting out there. They're helping more people, right? It's just better, really, to be constantly working on yourself instead of just trying to perfect one thing. And remember that the totality of your work does not define you, right? I think they said Picasso did like 50,000 works of art in his lifetime. Mozart did over 600 compositions. Kobe Bryant missed more shots in professional basketball than any other player, but you don't think of them for their failures. You think of them for their amazing works of art. So, was every shot perfect? Was every art piece perfect? No. That's just life. That's just something you have to accept. Um, so, if you're feeling blocked, just realize you can't be perfect all of the time. In fact, it's a huge way that the universe and I think spirit works is like if you're perfect, the universe doesn't have any void to fill and teach you something. Like I think there's something to spontaneous brilliance that comes from making mistakes. You don't learn from your successes as much as you learn from your failures. So if you were perfect, then there's no room, you're not giving the universe room to help you grow or expand, So I don't know. So just if you're dealing with this, I wish you the best healing in addressing it and feeling good about yourself just as you are. And if you are a creative, create, put yourself out there. If you are trying to be of service to others, just realize like what you have to give is valuable, right? Like you don't have to quantify it. Constantly be better, but just realize you're good as you are. So thank you. I'm happy to not be blocked anymore. I'm happy to be happily creating. It feels really good. Like I said, I think maybe being a mother was the shift I needed, because that in itself was such a beautiful creation that it helped unlock, when you give birth to something that you see. I could cry right now because she's so perfect, right? Like I gave birth to something that was so perfect. How could I not be good enough, So I have a lot to give. I can't wait to give it. Again, I'll say this every time. I just want people, like, I don't want everyone to subscribe, or like, I want the people who are, resonating with this message to like and subscribe. You don't have to do anything. What I'm saying is I want to connect with people who want to connect with me. And that's the bottom line. I want to reach out to people. I think, like I said, like I myself 10 years ago needed to hear this. So if you need to hear this, I hope that you do. And I hope that you heal it. And I hope that you put yourself out there. And if you like this message, stick around and see more. I will see you next time. Goodbye.